horns. Small handbills and jingle bells are also commonly made of brass. The harmonica is a free reed aerophone, also often made from brass. In organ pipes of the reed family, brass strips, called tongues, are used as the reeds, which beat against the shallot, or beat through the shallot in the case of a free reed. Although not part of the brass section, snare drums are also sometimes made of brass. Some parts on electric guitars are also made from brass, especially inertia blocks on tremolo systems for its tonal properties, and for string nuts and saddles for both tonal properties and its low friction. 25. Germicidal and antimicrobial applications. The bactericidal properties of brass have been observed for centuries, particularly in marine environments where it prevents biofouling. Depending upon the type and concentration of pathogens and the medium they are in, brass kills these microorganisms within a few minutes to hours of contact. 26, 27, 28. A large number of independent studies, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, confirm this antimicrobial effect, even against antibiotic-resistant bacteria such as MRSA and VRSA. The mechanisms of antimicrobial action by copper and its alloys, including brass, are a subject of intense and ongoing investigation. 27, 33, 34, season cracking. Cracking in brass caused pure ammonia attack. Brass is susceptible to stress corrosion cracking. 35, especially from ammonia or substances containing or releasing ammonia. The problem is sometimes known as season cracking after it was first discovered in brass cartridges used for rifle ammunition during the 1920s in the British Indian Army. The problem was caused by high residual stresses from cold forming of the cases during manufacture, together with chemical attack from traces of ammonia in the atmosphere. The cartridges were stored in stables and the ammonia concentration rose during the hot summer months, thus initiating brittle cracks. The problem was resolved by annealing the cases, and storing the cartridges elsewhere. Types. Class proportion by weight, percent. Note copper zinc alpha brasses and GT65 and LT35 alpha brasses are malleable, can be worked cold, and are used in pressing, forging or similar applications. They contain only one face, with face-centered cubic crystal structure. With their high proportion of copper, these brasses have a more golden hue than others. The alpha phase is a substitution solid solution of zinc in copper. It discloses in properties to copper, tough, strong, and somewhat difficult to machine. Best formability is with 32% of zinc. Corrosion-resistant red brasses, with 15% of zinc or less, belong here. Alpha beta brasses 55 6535 45 also called duplex brasses, these are suited for hot working. They contain both and beta phases. The phase is ordered body-centered cubic, with zinc atoms in the center of the cubes, and is harder and stronger than alpha beta brasses are usually worked hot. The higher proportion of zinc means these brasses are brighter than alpha brasses. At 45% of zinc the alloy has the highest strength. Beta brasses 55,500 and 4550 beta brasses can only be worked hot, and are harder, stronger, and suitable for casting. The high zinc low copper content means these are some of the brightest and least golden of the common brasses. Gamma brasses 33 3961 67 There are also AgZN and ORZN gamma brasses, at 30-50%, or 41%. 36. The gamma phase is a cubic lattice intermetallic compound. Cu5ZN8. White brass and LT50 and GT50 these are too brittle for general use. The term may also refer to certain types of nickel-silver alloys as well as CuZnSn alloys with high proportions, typically 40% plus, of tin and forward/or zinc, as well as predominantly zinc casting alloys with copper additives. These have virtually no yellow coloring at all, and instead have a much more silver appearance. Other phases than alpha, beta and gamma are a hexagonal intermetallic CuZn3, and eta, a solid solution of copper in zinc. Brass alloys alloy name proportion by weight, percent. Other notes: copper, zinc, tin, lead, Abyssinian gold, commercial bronze, C220, 9010, Admiralty brass 69301, tin inhibits loss of zinc in many environments. AH's alloy 60.6636.581.021. 74% iron, designed for use in marine service owing to its corrosion resistance, hardness and toughness. A characteristic application is to the protection of ships' bottoms, but more modern methods of cathodic protection have rendered it thus less common. Its appearance resembles that of gold. 37. Aluminium brass 77.520. 52% aluminium. Aluminium improves corrosion resistance. It is used for heat exchanger and condenser tubes. 38. Arsenical brass. Arsenic, frequently aluminium, used for boiler fireboxes. Cartridge brass, C260, 7030, less than or equal to 0.07. 39. Good cold working properties. Used for ammunition cases, plumbing, and hardware. Common brass 6337, also called revet brass. Cheap and standard for cold working. DZR brass. Arsenic dezincification resistant brass with a small percentage of arsenic. Delta metal 5541, 431, 3% iron with the balance consisting of various other metals. The proportions used make the material harder and suitable for valves and bearings. Free machining brass, C360, 61.535.52.53.70. 35% iron, also called 360 or 360 brass. High machinability. 39. Gilding metal 955, softest type of brass commonly available. Gilding metal is typically used for ammunition bullet jackets, for example. Full metal jacket bullets. Almost red in color. High brass 6535 has a high tensile strength and is used for springs, screws and rivets. Leaded brass and GT0 and alpha beta brass with an addition or fleet for improved machinability. Lead free brass and LT0. 25, defined by California Assembly Bill AB 1953, contains not more than 0.25% lead content. 16. Prior upper limit was 4%. Low brass 8020, light golden color, very ductile, used for flexible metal hose and metal bellows. Manganese brass 77127%, manganese. 4% nickel, used as cladding for United States gold and dollar coins. 40. Other manganese brass alloy compositions exist. Muntz metal 6040, traces of iron used as a lining on boats. Naval brass 59401, similar to Admiralty brass, also known as Tobin bronze. 41. Nickel brass 77,620, 24.545.5% nickel. The outer ring of the bimetallic £1 and £2 sterling coins and €1 coin plus the center part half the €2 coin. Formerly used fourth round £1 coin. Nordic gold 89515%, aluminum used in 10, 20, and 50 cents euro coins. Orishulcum 75-8015-20, trace amounts of nickel and iron determined from 39 ingots recovered from an ancient shipwreck in Gela, Sicily. Pinchbeck 89% or 93%, 11% or 7%, invented in the early 18th century. by Christopher Pinchbeck. Resembles gold to a point where people can buy the metal as budget gold effect jewelry. Prince's Metal 7525, a type of alpha brass. Due to its silau color, it is used as an imitation of gold. 42, also called Prince Rupert's metal. The alloy was named after Prince Rupert of the Rhine. Red brass, rose brass, C230, 85555, both an American term for the copper zinc tin alloy known as gunmetal, and an alloy which is considered both a brass and a bronze. 43, 44, red brass is also an alternative name for copper alloy C23000, which is composed of 14-16% zinc, a minimum 0.05% iron and minimum 0.07% lead content. 39, and remainder copper. 45, it may also refer to ounce metal, another copper zinc tin alloy. Rich low brass, Toonback 520, often used in jewelry applications. Silicon Toonback 80164%, silicon used as an alternative for investment cast steel parts. Tunval brass and GT0, also called CW617 or CZ122 or OT58. It is not recommended for seawater use, being susceptible to deacidification. 46, 47, yellow brass 6733, an American term for 33% zinc brass. History. Although forms of brass have been in use since prehistory, 48, its true nature as a copper-zinc alloy was not understood until the post-medieval period, because the zinc vapor which reacted with copper to make brass was not recognized as a metal. 49. The King James Bible makes many references to brass. 50. To translate nekosh, bronze or copper, from Hebrew to English. The earliest brasses may have been natural alloys made by smelting zinc-rich copper ores. 51. By the Roman period, brass was being deliberately produced from metallic copper and zinc minerals using the cementation process, the product of which was calamine brass, and variations on this method continued until the mid-19th century. 52. It was eventually replaced by speltering, the direct alloying of copper and zinc metal, which was introduced to Europe in the 16th century. 51. Brass has sometimes historically been referred to as yellow copper. 53, 54, early copper-zinc alloys. In West Asia and the Eastern Mediterranean, early copper-zinc alloys are now known in small numbers from a number of 3rd millennium BC sites in the Aegean, Iraq, the United Arab Emirates, Kalmykia, Turkmenistan and Georgia, and from 2nd millennium BC sites in West India, Uzbekistan, Iran, Syria, Iraq and Canaan. 55. Isolated examples of copper-zinc alloys are known in China from the 1st century AD, long after bronze was widely used. 56. The compositions of these early brass objects are highly variable, and most have zinc contents of between 5% and 15% weight, which is lower than in brass produced by cementation. 57. These may be natural alloys manufactured by smelting zinc-rich copper ores in redox conditions. Many have similar tin contents to contemporary bronze artifacts, and it is possible that some copper-zinc alloys were accidental and perhaps not even distinguished from copper. 57. However, the large number of copper-zinc alloys now known suggests that at least some were deliberately manufactured, and many have zinc contents of more than 12% weight, which would have resulted in a distinctive golden color. 57, 58. By the 8th-7th century BC, Assyrian cuneiform tablets mention the exploitation of the copper of the mountains, and this may refer to natural brass. 59. Aurichalcon, mountain copper. 60. The ancient Greek translation of this term was later adapted to the Latin aurichalcum, meaning golden copper, which became a standard term for brass. 61. In the 4th century BC, Plato knew aurichalcos as rare and nearly as valuable as gold. 62. And Pliny describes how aurichalcum had come from Cypriot or deposits which had been exhausted by the 1st century AD. 63. X-ray fluorescence analysis of 39. Aurichalcum ingots recovered from a 2,600-year-old shipwreck off Sicily found them to be an alloy made with 75–80% copper, 15–20% zinc and small percentages of nickel, lead and iron. 64. 65. Roman world. 7th century Persian ore in brass with copper inlay. During the later part of 1st millennium BC, the use of brass spread across all geographical area from Britain, 66, and Spain, 67, in the west to Iran, and India in the east. 68. This seems to have been encouraged by exports and influence from the Middle East and Eastern Mediterranean, where deliberate production of brass from metallic copper and zinc ores had been introduced. 69. The 4th century BC writer Theopompus, quoted by Strabo, describes how heating earth from Andeira in Turkey produced droplets of silver, probably metallic zinc, which could be used to turn copper into aurichalcos. 70. In the 1st century BC, the Greek Dioscorides seems to have recognized a link between zinc minerals and brass, describing how cadmia, zinc oxide, was found on the walls of furnaces used to heat either zinc or copper, and explaining that it can then be used to make brass. 71. By the 1st century BC, brass was available in sufficient supply to use as coinage in Phrygia and Bithynia. 72. And after the Augustan currency reform of 23 BC, it was also used to make Roman dupondii and sestertii. 73. The uniform use of brass for coinage and military equipment across the Roman world may indicate a degree of state involvement in the industry. 74. 75. And brass even seems to have been deliberately boycotted by Jewish communities in Palestine because of its association with Roman authority. 76. Brass was produced by the cementation process, where copper and zinc ore are heated together until zinc vapor is produced, which reacts with the copper. There is good archaeological evidence for this process, and crucibles used to produce brass by cementation have been found on Roman period sites including Xanten, 77, and Nidda, 78, in Germany, Lyon in France, 79, and at a number of sites in Britain. 80. They vary in size from tiny or corn-sized to large amphorae-like vessels, but all have elevated levels of zinc on the interior and are lidded. 79. They show no signs of slag or metal prills, suggesting that zinc minerals were heated to produce zinc vapor, which reacted with metallic copper in a solid-state reaction. The fabric of these crucibles is porous, probably designed to prevent a build-up of pressure, and many have small holes in the lids which may be designed to less pressure. 79. Or to add additional zinc minerals near the end of the process. Dioscorides mentioned that zinc minerals were used for both the working and finishing of brass, perhaps suggesting secondary additions. 81. Brass made during the early Roman period seems to have varied between 20% and 28% weight zinc. 81. The high content of zinc in coinage and brass objects declined after the 1st century AD, and it has been suggested that this reflects zinc loss during recycling and thus an interruption in the production of new brass. 73. However, it is no thought this was probably a deliberate change in composition. 82. And overall the use of brass increases over this period, making up around 40% of all copper alloys used in the Roman world by the 4th century AD. 83. Medieval period. Baptism of Christ. On the 12th century baptismal font at St. Bartholomew's Church, little is known about the production of brass during the centuries immediately after the collapse of the Roman Empire. Disruption in the trade of tin for bronze from Western Europe may have contributed to the increasing popularity of brass in the East, and by the 6th-7th centuries AD over 90% of copper alloy artifacts from Egypt were made of brass. 84. However, other alloys such as low tin bronze were also used, and they vary depending on local cultural attitudes, the purpose of the metal, and access to zinc, especially between the Islamic and Byzantine world. 85. Conversely, the use of true brass seems to have declined in West